Let's send up some prayers. Get this thing going. I had to rush her from work. Had to throw something in my mouth real quick. All right. Send up some prayers. Remember, brothers, uncover your head. Sisters, cover your head. Everyone face Jerusalem. Book of Sirach, chapter 36. Have mercy upon us, O Lord God of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us. And let them know thee as we have known thee, that there is no God but only thou, O God. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Make the time short. Remember the covenant and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. Smite and sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen that say, there is none other but we. Gather all the tribes of Jacob together, and inherit thou them from the beginning. O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named thy firstborn. O be merciful unto Jerusalem, thy holy city, the place of thy rest. Fill Zion with the unspeakable oracles, and the people with the glory. Give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in thy name. Reward them that wait for thee, and let the prophets be found faithful. O Lord, hear the prayer of thy servants according to the blessing of Aaron over thy people, that all they which dwell upon the earth may know that thou art the Lord, the eternal God. In Jesus' name we pray to thee, dear Lord, and we thank you, and we honor you. And we ask that you continue to guide us and keep us strong, dear Lord. Strengthen us up. Keep us with a steady mind, dear Lord. Keep our minds in control. Let us be able to control our spirits, to put away any spirit that's coming against, whether it be pride, whether it be lust, whether it be any type of temptation that you send forth, dear Lord. Let us continue to endure to keep your law, statutes, and commandments. Let us ask forgiveness for any of our trespasses against thee, dear Lord. In Jesus' name I pray thee, and I thank thee, dear Lord. Let this class be edifying, and I call out for blessings upon all of Israel, those that are out doing the work, pushing your word throughout the four corners of the earth, dear Lord. Heal up the sick in the mind, the sick in the body, dear Lord. Let all of Israel say, hallelujah! Hallelujah! Lord, keep us strong. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. I was just looking up, making sure I knew where we was at. 1 Samuel 19. And again, I just want to apologize again. I did it when I came to fill in for class last week on Thursday morning. But I realized I never even sent out any type of, itching here. I never sent out any type of notification or anything letting you all know that there'd be no class due to the new moon last week. So I'm pretty sure there were some people sitting on like, hey, where's he at? So I do apologize, Israel. Yeah, I apologize, bro. I was me and the bros here in Washington, we how long did we stay up? Maybe about 6 a.m. I actually I had thought about actually going ahead and doing the class and having one of the bros read, but we were in conversation. I mean, it was good. It was a good time though. So all praise to the Most High. We are on 19. 1 Samuel 19. Let's see, did we read 19? I believe it's 19. I got my little note here. It says 1 Samuel 19. We didn't read it, did we? Let me look. Yep, we're in 19. We're in 19. This is definitely where we want to go. Haven't missed part yet. What we do know, though, is now Saul is David's enemy, right? Or at least that's how he feels towards David. We put it that way. That's what we do know. Yeah, that's what we do know. We go jump right into it. 1 Samuel chapter 19. Do we got a scribe today? Scribe. Okay, all praises. All praises, Brother Isaac. All right. This is 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 1. And Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill David. So now Saul has put a hunt out on David. Let's read and find out what is not necessarily the worth, but I guess in this time, yeah, what's the worth, or you know how we can put a headhunt on someone, or when we're watching the movies, at least, because I don't know personally. Some of you may, I'm not sure, but you know, when you're watching the movies, they put some sort of dollar amount on the head, or bring them back dead or alive, blah blah blah. Right? So let's see. I'll call it the stipulations. Well, not necessarily a bounty. That's actually something a little different, because a bounty is like you want to bring them in, or you want to, whoever is putting out the bounty wants him to be hunted down. So I know I called it a hunt too. So I guess that would be the wrong word. It's you know, they want him to he don't want to bring him in. Right, a hit. There you go. Hit. That's exactly what it is. A hit. You know, you go call your hitman. All right. So he put a hit out on David. Exactly. Verse 2. But Jonathan's son Saul delighted much in David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul, my father, seeking to kill thee. Now therefore I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in a secret place and hide thyself. And I will go out and stand beside my father. Oh, we did read this, didn't we? We read 19. I wasn't going to read it. That's why I didn't switch my note. We did read 19. Because I remember explaining this. We'll read it again. We'll go right back through it. Yeah, we did read 19. Let's jump over to 20 here. Let's recap real fast in 19, because they Saul set up a plan. We will recap 19, but we did read it. Saul set up a plan to basically make sure, or excuse me, not Saul, Jonathan. Jonathan set up a plan to make sure Saul, his dad, wasn't going to kill David, or is he still mad at David? Let's main point. Because remember, we read drop down to 9. Saul had the evil from, and David played the harp for him to get the spirit off of him. Then that's when Saul sent some men. Verse. Let's read the last verse. So this whole time, Saul's been trying to find, not necessarily find David, but get David to come to him. So now he's kind of calling out for a bounty, or just for someone to bring him to him, because now he wants to kill him for himself. This is what's going on in chapter 19. He keeps telling people, hey, or he keeps sending his messengers, hey, go tell David to come here. Hey, bring David to me so I can kill him. Hey. David keeps escaping. There was a point, the way David escaped on one of these occasions. All right, we're going to read 24 though. It says, and he stripped off his clothes also, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all that day and all that night. Wherefore they say, is Saul also among the prophets? We go read up so you can understand it. We go start from 20. So it's a recap for those that read, and then for others, it's kind of is new for you. So, and Saul sent messengers, verse 20, and Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying and Samuel standing as appointed over them, the Spirit of God was upon the messengers of Saul. And they also prophesied. And when it was told Saul, he sent other messengers, and they prophesied likewise. And Saul sent messengers again the third time, and they prophesied also. Then went he also to Ramah, and came to a great wall that is in Siku. And he asked and said, where are Samuel and David? And one said, behold, they be at Naoth in Ramah. And he went thither to Naoth in Ramah. And the Spirit of God was upon him also. And he went on and prophesied until he came to Naoth in Ramah. And he stripped off his clothes also, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all the day and all the night. Wherefore they say, is Saul also among the prophets? So now they're saying, oh, so is he back righteous? Or let's go back. Let's go up to Isaiah chapter 20. Isaiah chapter 20 and verse 2. Another example of a prophet doing pretty much the same thing or being told by God to do so. This is verse 2. At the same time spake the Lord by Isaiah, the son of Amos, saying, Go and loose the sackcloth from off thy loins, and put off thy shoe from thy foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. And the Lord said, Like as my servant Isaiah have walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign in Ethiopia, so shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoners, and the Ethiopians captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia, their expiations, in Egypt, their glory. One last one, if I can find it. All right, let's go back to Samuel chapter 10, because they asked the question before about Saul. Samuel chapter 10, let's go back for one quick second. Let's go to, so that was an example of a prophet doing it naked to the shame of the enemy, okay? Or a prophecy of, because at the time that Isaiah did it, Egypt was really not the enemy, so to speak. But you see, the Assyrian king was taking him. So that was he did that for a sign, as the scriptures tells us, of their glory being taken away or their shame coming upon them. Let's go back, chapter 10, verse 10. And when they came thither to the hill, behold, a company of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came upon him, and he prophesied among them. And it came to pass, when all that knew him before time saw that, behold, he prophesied among the prophets, then the people said one to another, What is this that is come unto the son of Kish, or Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? And one of the same place answered and said, But who is their father? Therefore it became a proverb. Is Saul also among prophets? So you see, it became a proverb, meaning a wise saying. Anytime what? A righteous brother prophesies, or a righteous person or a prophet does any type of prophesying. So, excuse me, not a prophet. Anyone that does any type of prophesying like a prophet. So in this case, Saul, the question was, well, we know he was a righteous brother. And, of course, in one point or in one time, we know that he was renowned. We know that, obviously he became king, the first king. Was he also among the prophets? Meaning, did he have the visions that the prophets had? I want to reread chapter 20. I believe you're at 20 as well. We're going to reread it. So this is 1 Samuel chapter 20. And David fled from Naioth in Ramah, and came and said before Jonathan, What have I done? What is my iniquity? And what is my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? And he said unto him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing either great or small, but that he will show it me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? Because remember, this is also what we read already, showing the plan basically playing out. It says, is it not so? Verse 3. And David swore moreover and said, thy father certainly knoweth that I have found grace in thy eyes. And he saith, let not Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death. Then said Jonathan unto David, whatsoever the soul desireth, I will even do it for thee. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at even. If thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me that he might run to Bethlehem, his city. For there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the family. If he say thus, it is well, thy servant shall have peace. But if he be very wroth, then be sure that evil is determined by him. Therefore thou shalt deal kindly with thy servant, for thou hast brought thy servant into a covenant of the Lord with thee. Notwithstanding, if there be in my iniquity, slay me thyself. For why shouldest thou bring me to thy father? Because remember, we spoke on that, saying he'd rather die basically than have some sin. So he knew he was upright. And the whole point is, hey, he's about to go hide for 3 days and see if Saul really, really wanted him. I mean, if Saul's really tripping on, no, I need to have him, because then that shows that there's going to be evil. There's evil in Saul's heart. Verse 9, and Jonathan, far be it from thee, for if I knew certainly that evil were determined by my father to come upon thee, then would not I tell it thee? Then said David to Jonathan, who shall tell me? Or what if thy father answer thee roughly? And Jonathan said unto David, come and let us go out to the field. And they went out, both of them, into the field. And Jonathan said unto David, O Lord God of Israel, when I have sounded my father about tomorrow any time or the third day, and behold, if there be good toward David, and I then sin not unto thee, and show it thee, the Lord do so, and much more to Jonathan. But if it please my father to do thee evil, then I will show it thee, and send thee away, that thou mayest go in peace, and the Lord be with thee, as he hath been with my father. And thou, and thou shalt not only while yet I live show me the kindness of the Lord, that I die not, but also thou shalt not cut off thy kindness from my house forever. No, not when the Lord hath cut off the enemies of David, every one from the face of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, let the Lord even require it at the hand of David's enemies. And Jonathan caused David to swear again, because he loved him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly, and come to the place where thou didst hide thyself, when the business was in hand, and shall remain by the stone Ezel. And I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof, as though I shot at a mark. And behold, I will send a lad, saying, go find out the arrows. If I expressly say unto the lad, behold, the arrows are on this side of thee, take them. Then come thou, for there is peace to thee and no hurt, as the Lord liveth. But if I say thus unto the young man, behold, the arrows are beyond thee, go thy way, for the Lord hath sent thee away. And as touching the matter which thou and I have spoken of, behold, the Lord be between thee and me forever. So David hid himself in the field. And when the new moon was come, the king sat down to eat meat. And the king set up his seat, as at other times, even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty.
Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought something had befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to me, neither yesterday nor today? And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, Let me go, I pray thee, for our family have a sacrifice in the city, and my brother, he have commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in thy eyes, let me get away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he cometh not unto the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said unto him, Thou son of the perverse rebellious woman, do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thy own confusion, and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not establish nor thy kingdom. Wherefore, now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die. And Jonathan answered Saul his father and said unto him, Wherefore shall he be slain? What hath he done? And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, and did eat no meat the second day of the month. For he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. And it came to pass in the morning that Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David, and a little lad with him. And he said unto his lad, Run, find out now the arrows which I shoot. And as the lad ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. And when the lad was come to the place of the arrow which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan cried after the lad and said, Is not the arrow beyond thee? And Jonathan cried after the lad, Make speed, haste, stay not. And Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the lad knew not anything, only Jonathan and David knew the matter. And Jonathan gave his artillery unto his lad, and said unto him, Go carry them to the city. And as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of the place toward the south, and fell on his face to the ground, and bowed himself 3 times, and they kissed one another and wept one with another until David exceeded, meaning he cried more. And Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, for as much as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. All right. So as you see, now Jonathan understands that his dad wants to do nothing but kill David. David knows now, realizes it. They both boo-hoo, basically, because they had to depart. Let's read on. Chapter 21. Then came David to Nob, to Ahimelech the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid of the meeting of David, and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, The king has commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee. And I have appointed my servants to such a place. Now therefore, what is under thy hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread a hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under my hand, but there is hallowed bread, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. Verse 5. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days. since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in the manner and common, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no bread there but the shewbread that was taken from before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, dreamed before the Lord, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chiefest of the herdmen that belonged to Saul. And David said unto Ahimelech, and is there not here under thy hand spear and sword? For I have neither brought my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the valley of the law, behold, it is here wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it. If there is no other save, is there no other save that here? And David said, there is none like that. Give it me. And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul, and went Achish the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said unto him, is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul have slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And David laid up these words in his heart, and was sore afraid in Achish the king of Gath. Let me see. Oh, not of, sore afraid of Achish the king of Gath. Verse 13. And he changed his behavior before them, and feigned himself mad in their hands, and scrambled on the doors. Scrabbled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fall down upon his beard. Scrabbled, not an everyday word. That is simply right. Scrabble. I guess we got a game called Scrabble, and that's what we do. We spell words, right? See? Everything comes from the Bible, man. Everything. So he scrabbled on the wall. That's scribbled today for us, but he actually wrote something. Verse 14. Then said Achish unto his servants, Lo, ye see the man is mad. Wherefore? Then had ye brought him to me? Have I need of a madman, that ye have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? All right, chapter 22. So that was kind of just point blank on that, right? David's trying to figure things out. All right. Chapter 22. David therefore departed thence, and escaped to the cave Adullam. And when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him. And everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was discountenant, gathered themselves unto him. And he became a captain over them. And there were with him about 400 men. And David went thence to Mizpah of Moab. And he said unto the king of Moab, Let my father and my mother, I pray thee, come forth, and be with you till I know what God will do for me. And he brought them before the king of Moab. And they dwelt with him all the while that David was in the hold. And the prophet Gad said unto David, Abide not in the hold, depart and get thee into the land of Judah. Then David departed and came into the forest of Hereth. When Saul heard that David was discovered, and the men that were with him, now Saul abode in Gabaa under a tree in Ramah, having his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing about him. Then Saul said unto his servants that stood about him, Hear now, ye Benjamites, will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards, and make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds? That all of you have conspired against me, and there is none that showeth, conspired against me, and there's none that showeth me that my son has made a league with the son of Jesse? And there is none of you that is sorry for me, or showeth up my servant against me. Show it up. Read that again. League with the son of Jesse, and there is none of you that is sorry for me, or showeth unto me that my son has stirred up my servant against me, to lie in wait, as at this day. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, which was set over the servants of Saul, and said, I was the son of Jesse's coming, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob, to Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub. And he inquired of the Lord for him, and gave him victuals, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. Then the king sent to call Ahimelech, the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, the priests that were in Nob, and they came all of them to the king. And Saul said, Hear now, thy son of Ahitub. And he answered, Here I am, my lord. And Saul said unto him, Why have ye conspired against me, thou and the son of Jesse? And thou hast given him bread and a sword, and hast inquired of God from him, that he should arise against me, to lie in wait, as at this day. Then Ahimelech answered the king and said, And who is so faithful among all thy servants? David, which is the king's son, in all, and goeth at the biting, and is honorable in thy house. Did I then begin to inquire of God for him? Be it far from me. Let not the king impute anything unto the servant, nor to all the house of my father. For thy servant knew nothing of all this, less or more. Meaning what? No one's in the loop. No one's in the loop. Well, of course, David didn't want anybody in the loop. It's called escape, right? It's called hide away. But at this point, he's not necessarily hiding. He's really just trying to get info. He's trying to figure it all out again. What is he going to do? How is he going to deal with basically Saul on his butt, or Saul wanting to kill him? Verse 16. And the king said, Thou shalt surely die, Ahimelech, thou and all thy father's house. And the king said unto the footmen that stood about him, Turn and slay the priests of the Lord, because their hand also is with David. And because they knew when he fled, and did not show it to me. But thy servants of the king would not put forth their hand to fall upon the priests of the Lord. Verse 18. And the king said to Doeg, There thou and fall upon the priest. And Doeg the Edomite turned, and he fell upon the priest, and slew on that day 500 persons that did wear a linen ephod. And Nob, the city of the priests, smote he with the edge of the sword, both men and women, children and sucklings, and oxen and asses and sheep, with the edge of the sword. And one of the sons of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar showed David and Saul had slain the Lord's priests. And David said unto Abiathar, I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there. No, why I keep leaving my. And David said, I'll read 22 again. And David said unto Abiathar, I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, I have occasioned the death of all the persons of thy father's house. Abide thou with me, fear not, for he hath seeked my life, seeketh thy life, but with me thou shalt be in safeguard. So you see, this whole time, Saul's not giving up. Saul has pretty much changed the heart of the people, or not necessarily changed, but has controlled the heart of the people, telling them, this is what you're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Kill David, so to speak. And you see David, he's just moving from city to city, basically on the run. Let's see what happens, though. Chapter 23. Then they told David, saying, behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the threshing floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go and smite these Philistines? And the Lord said unto David, go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah. All right, I gotta go, y'all. I gotta go fight some giants. Got some giants to go slay. Can you imagine this conversation? Imagine, like, really? I mean, and really, we see how tall Goliath is. I mean, granted, he's definitely tall, but I pretty much, doesn't make it true, but I pretty much can tell the way they talk about it is, yeah, they understand that they're so-called giants, but they don't even see them as giants. They just see them as bigger men. That's it. Just a little taller. Hey, we're small forwards. They're power forwards. Not even centers. Even with the wordplay, how they go back and forth, other than when you go into what's that, Numbers. Right, casual obstacle. I like that. You go into Numbers, and the spies went and seen the giants, and that's what make it seem like they were just giants. And now the way those words came off, it was like they seen 20-footers basically. Chapter 23. Read it from the top again. Then they told David, saying, behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the threshing floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go and smite these Philistines? And the Lord said unto David, go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah. And David's men said unto him, behold, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Now you hear some people telling the truth. You hear some people just being straight up and down, like, hey, bro, I'm going to be even more scared over there in their territory. At least right now we're in our territory, and I'm scared. I mean, can you imagine how scared I'm going to be once we get over there? Then David inquired of the Lord yet again. This verse 4. David inquired of the Lord yet again, and the Lord answered him and said, arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thy hand. So David and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines, and brought away their cattle and smote them with a great slaughter. So David smote them with a great slaughter. So David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. And it came to pass, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David to Keilah, that he came down with an ephod in his hand. Okay. And it was told Saul that David was come to Keilah. And Saul said, God has delivered him into my hand, for he is shut in by entering into a town that have gates and bars. And Saul called all the people together to war, to go down to Keilah to besiege David and his men. And David knew that Saul secretly practiced mischief against him. And he said to Abiathar, bring thither the ephod. Verse 10. Then said David, O Lord God of Israel. Excuse me, Israel. Then said David, the Lord God of Israel, thy servant hath certainly heard that Saul seeketh to come to Keilah to destroy the city for my sake. Will the men of Keilah deliver me up into his hands? Will Saul come down as thy servant have heard? O Lord God of Israel, I beseech thee, tell thy servant. And the Lord said, he will come down. Then said David, will the men of Keilah deliver me and my men into the hand of Saul? And the Lord said, they will deliver thee up. Then David and his men, which were about 600, arose and departed out of Keilah, and went whithersoever they could go. And it was told Saul that David was escaped from Keilah, and he forbare to go forth. And David abode in the wilderness in strongholds, and remained in a mountain in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought him every day, every single day. He was on him. He was on him every day. And Saul sought him every day, but God delivered him not into his hand. And David saw that Saul was come out to seek his life. And David was in the wilderness of Ziph in a wood. And Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the wood, and strengthened his hand in God. And he said unto him, fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee, and thou shalt be king over Israel, and I shall be next unto thee. And that also Saul my father knoweth. Verse 18. And they two made a covenant before the Lord, and David abode in the wood, and Jonathan went to his house. Okay, verse 19. Then came up the Ziphites to Saul in Gabaa, or to Saul to Gabaa, saying, doeth not David hide himself with us in strongholds in the wood, in the hill of Hachilah, which is on the south of Jeshimon? Now therefore, O king, come down according to all the desire of thy soul to come down, and our part shall be to deliver him into the king's hand. And Saul said, blessed be ye of the Lord, for ye have compassion on me. Go, I pray you, prepare yet, and know and see his place, where his haunt is, and who have seen him there. For it is told me that he dealeth very subtly. See therefore, and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hideth himself, and come ye again to me with the certainty, and I will go with you, and it shall come to pass, if he be in the land, that I will stretch him out throughout all the thousands of Judah. Verse 24. And they arose and went to Ziph from Saul, But David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the land of the south of Jeshimon. Saul also and his men went to seek him, and they told David. Therefore he came down in a rock and abode in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Maon. And Saul went on this side. Let's see. Yep. And Saul went on this side of the mountain. Oh no, this side of the mountain, and David and his men on that side of the mountain. And David made haste to get away for fear of Saul. For Saul and his men compassed David and his men around about to take him. Chapter 27. Verse 27. David and his men round about to take. So now Saul has got David to the point to where he's surrounded. But there came a messenger unto Saul, saying, Haste thee and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land. Wherefore Saul returned from pursuing after David and went against the Philistines. Therefore they called that place Selahama. Selahama. Lako. And David went up from thence and dwelt in strongholds at Engedi? I know I didn't pronounce that right. Engedi. Yeah, still not right. Let's see the. I think this is the record. I'm sure. Look at the record. Got it written in here. I believe this is it. This is 22. No. Thought that was the one. Let me get chapter 24. Yeah, we can read chapter 24 as well. Chapter 24. 1 Samuel chapter 24. And it came to pass when Saul was returned from following the Philistines that it was told him, saying, Behold, David is in the wilderness of Engedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. And he said to the sheepcotes by the way, there was a sheepcote. All right, I'll read that verse 3. And he said, and he came to the sheepcotes by the way, where was a cave, and Saul went and to cover his feet, and David and his men remained in the sides of the cave. And the men of David said unto him, Behold, the day of which the Lord said unto thee, Behold, I will deliver thy enemy into thy hand, that thou mayest do to him as it shall seem good unto thee. Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privily. And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his men, The Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master. The Lord's anointed to stretch forth my hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord. So David stayed his servants. Excuse me. Yeah, stayed his servants. With these words, suffered them not to rise against Saul. Saul rose up out of the cave, went on his way. David also arose afterward and went out of the cave and cried after Saul, saying, My Lord, the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped. Yeah, that's okay. Saul looked behind him. David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. So now this was towards him, but we shall only be doing this to the Most High God. Let's read. Verse 9. And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, Behold, David seeketh thy hurt. Behold, this day thy eyes have seen how that the Lord hath delivered thee today, and to my hand in the cave. And some bade me kill thee, but my eyes spared thee. Read that one more time. Look what happened. Let's look what happened. So David stood praying, right? Okay. First thing. And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, Behold, David seeketh thy hurt. Right? So really they was questioning. They were asking, why is it that we want to kill David so bad? Is he trying to kill you? What's going on? Behold, this day thy eyes have seen how the Lord hath delivered thee today into my hand in the cave, and some bade me kill thee. So now the shoe is on the other foot. God has gave Saul over to David. David is looking like, Basically, David still has respect for him. Remember, this is like his father, so to speak. Said, Behold, this day thy eyes have seen how the Lord hath delivered thee today into my hand in the cave. And some bade me kill thee, but my eyes spared thee. And I said, I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. Because remember, Saul was still, what did it say about Saul? I will have to find it, huh? Who remembers what it said? Saul was what? Oh, excuse me, Israel. Saul was, what was it at? What was that? Chapter 2 or 3? Remember, they just found a man, he was good, and it said something else. I'll find it real quick. Eli Samuel. Not yet. Who remembers? Or who knows? Just where's that script at? Still further. All right, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm forgetting my point. Basically saying that he was good. Let's go back to it. Dang, I wish I could read it. Messing up God's words. Don't like doing that. All right, back to chapter 24. Verse 7. So David stayed his servants with these words and suffered them not to rise against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. David also rose afterward and went out of the cave and cried after Saul, saying, My Lord the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, Behold, David seeketh thy hurt. Behold, this day thy eyes have seen how the Lord had delivered thee today into my hand into the cave, and some bade me to kill thee. But my eyes spared thee, and I said, I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. Verse 11. Moreover, my father see the skirt of my robe in my hand. For in that I cut off the skirt of thy robe and killed thee not. Know thou and see that there is neither evil nor transgression in my hand, and I have not sinned against thee. Yet thou huntest my soul to take it. The Lord judge between me and thee, and the Lord avenge me of thee, but my hand shall not be upon thee. As saith the proverb of the ancients, wickedness proceedeth from the wicked, but my hand shall not be upon thee. Verse 14. After whom is the king of Israel now? After whom dost thou pursue? After a dead dog? After a flea? The Lord therefore be judge and judge between me and thee, and see and plead my cause, and deliver me out of thy hand. And it came to pass when David had made an end of speaking these words unto Saul, that Saul said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, Thou art more righteous than I, for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded thee evil. Man, this is crazy. Look, I'm going to read it one more time. I'm going to start right back at 15. It says, The Lord therefore be judge and judge between me and thee, and see and plead my cause and deliver me out of thy hand. Right? It says, and it came to pass when David had made an end of speaking these words unto Saul, that Saul said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, Thou art more righteous than I, for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded thee evil. So what just happened? Okay, he finally realized that, look, I could have killed you a couple different times, but I didn't. So why are you trying to kill me so bad? So now Saul is finally getting into his thick head what's going on, what's really happening. And now, now he's like, oh my goodness. Now he feels the remorse. Now he's humble. Verse 17. And he said to David, Thou art more righteous than I, for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded thee evil. And thou hast showed this day how that thou hast dealt well with me. For as much as when the Lord have delivered me into thy hand, thou killest me not. For if a man find his enemy, will he let him go well away? Wherefore the Lord reward thee good for that thou hast done unto me this day. Nice. Verse 20. And now behold, I know well that thou shalt surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in thy hand. Swear now, therefore, unto me by the Lord, that thou wilt not cut off my seed after me, and that thou wilt not destroy my name out of my father's house. And David sware unto Saul. And Saul went home, but David and his men got them up unto the hold. So now we see Saul finally realizes after chasing David for however long, city to city, definitely trying to kill him, how the Most High was setting him up to be killed. He could have been killed by David many a time. David didn't do it, though, giving him honor and respect when at that point he didn't deserve it. At that point. Again, I still can't find a script where it says he was good in something else. Can't think of it. But still, yeah, we see now the honor of David. He respected his elder, basically, and what I mean by elder is the one who raised him up. Even once he went off. He went off so bad to where God was like, okay, go ahead and kill him. And David didn't. That what I'm looking for? No. It's when they all ask for a king, basically. Yeah, I'm gonna let it go. All right. Any questions? Oh, I actually seen a question about threshing floors, right? Let's go ahead and look it up. I'm sure. Let me see how fast the computer's moving right now. Use some technology. Questions? Any questions while we get up threshing floors? Share. Desktop. How fast is the computer? Oh, you know what's better? Threshing floor. Zondervan Dictionary. Zondervan Compact Dictionary. Threshing floor. The place where grain was threshed. Usually clay soil was packed to a hard, smooth surface. Sheaves of grain were spread on the flour and trampled by oxen. Trampled by oxen. Ooh, that's threshing floor. So it's basically anything to, good example of a threshing floor today. Not really nothing. I guess I would say the closest thing we would get to threshing floor now, and again, this is really still not a good example, but the closest thing would be like a cutting board. Like how you put stuff on there to bang it or to roll it out with the rolling pin or to, you season it or however, whatever you do. But obviously to chop up things, but like a cutting board would be considered like a threshing board. Obviously, still a bad example, but closest thing. Unless someone could think of something different. Yeah. All right, let me get some more questions. David was a man of war like God and sought guidance as he threw out. I can't see it all. Did it? Guidance as he threw out this ordeal. Though Saul sought to kill him, David resisted taking the life of God's anointed. I see why God loved him so, like a proud father. Right, right. And remember, I mean, it's like you don't want to say that he went against God. Obviously, God tell you to do something, you just do it, right? So you don't want to say he went against God, but I mean, he didn't take God's offer. He offered Saul to him, like, go ahead, let's kill him, let's go. I got him in the cave. It's for you to just go ahead and do him in. So it was like an offer. David didn't even take that. I knew it was from God. Apple of his eye for real. Ephod, good question. It's what the priest we'll just show you first. Just look at it. Yeah. Is it this one? I think I need the big one to get that good picture. I used to use. Yeah, let me get the big one. That was there. There's one second when you see a picture of it. No, it's not this one. Yeah, I guess it is. I guess I can pull up a picture. Again, in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. You see that? That's on his chest. Right. Where am I at? There. Oh, that's kind of weird. Right there. That's an ephod. It's a breastplate. It has all the 12 jewels in it. It has all the 12 jewels for the 12 tribes. And that's an ephod. Priest wore it. Priest wore it. Right. Yeah. David's still doing what he's supposed to do. Look at that. Where is it? Oh, that's going to be further on anyway, so we're going to read that. Who you say psalmist? I mean, he went off, but I don't know. I mean, my thoughts would probably say he's still going to be there, but who knows? It could be he went off, so just like we know, enduring. But see, during their time, I guess you can't even say that because during their time, they all come back. So he was a righteous. Now I really got to get it. What did it say? Soul's good, man. I'm right here. Keep looking over. I knew it was in 9. Oh, that's what it was. A choice young man in a goodly. So he was a choice, right? Sorry. 1 Samuel 9:2. A choice young man in a goodly. So, he was a righteous seed. So he comes back, then he would be a righteous seed again. Now, let's say you or I was Saul. Does that mean you're going to go off no matter what? Or what does that mean? So him making it, I don't know. I would say it's yet to be determined because he has to live this life as well. Everyone does except for a few brothers. So, and then obviously the 12. Wheat meal. I like that. Wheat meals, right? Your meals. I went to cutting board, which was little. Meals is bigger, so I like that. Oh, so David had respect unto Saul because God. Well, David had respect unto Saul mainly. Yes, he was anointed. Yes, and that's what David kept repeating, right? So granted, yeah, I mean that's the main factor. So I guess the answer was just be yes, yes, because that's what David kept repeating. But also you have to remember that Saul took David up under his wings. To David, Saul was his dad. Now David always knew who his dad was and everything like that. Remember, Saul came and sought him out, or Samuel sought him out, and he was the youngest boy, just tending to goats, and so he had much respect for him in that factor as well, which made him also look at him as I'm not gonna say made him look at him as anointed, but gave him that high respect, knowing that he was anointed as well, that he got anointed to be the king. So and that's why the question kept: is he one of the prophets? Is Saul among the prophets? All praises. No, the Edomites wasn't killing us then. I mean, some the Edomite that we was reading about, he was a servant. He was one that was kind of just he was a reporter, basically reporting. But what are you looking at? What script you looking at saying that Edomites was killing us then? In Diago. All praises, brother Nathan. Right. Well, once Saul realized what he did, yeah, definitely. So, but he still got to come back. One of us still got to endure to the end. That's my whole thing on that, as far as dealing with the brothers in this time. And that's all the brothers. Like, if you ask me if any one of them, the ones I would say is for sure is when we read that they was buried in the sepulcher with their fathers. I mean, when they come back, they are going to be one of us who endures to the end. They die righteous. I mean, that's not to say that Saul's not going to die righteous, because even David went off. So he repented immediately as well. But all praises though, brother Nathan. Right. Hey, bro, I just got done doing the 12.5-hour shift. You see me looking, and I start going, oh, crap. Hey, nah, we go finish this off though. Hey, I'll read a quick script for you when it comes to that. All right. Read this. So when it comes for far as to sleep, right? Here we go. This is Isaiah chapter 62, verse 1. It says, For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. For Jerusalem's sake, man, this is what we do. Prophets up all night. Right. When you see the role play, it's more exciting than a movie. When you see the role play, you know it's true story. You know it's our history. You know it's what our fathers did. That makes it even more exciting to me. Like when you know that it's my parents. It's, and dad did what? Uncle so and so did what? Okay, Uriah. Right, but he was a servant. Right. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, he was a servant. I mean, yeah, he got to shed blood, but he was a servant. He wasn't ruling nothing at the time. Boo! And all praises, man. And I love you, Israel. I'm gonna do it. You gonna do it. We all gonna do it. What does Romans 10 say? Romans 10, chapter 1. What does it say? It says, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. All praise to the Most High. We're going to do it again next week. And hopefully the plantation don't got me there all night long. So endure to the end has a deeper meaning than just this life. Well, this lifetime is the end for everything we read previously, though. But yeah, and to the end has a deeper meaning than just, I'll say a lifetime. Because this lifetime now is the end for all the other lifetimes. So yeah, that is going a little further, but yes. Enduring to the end means enduring till Christ come back. So if you was first born back then, you got to endure all the way through your different lives. Again, that's going a little further, but now we're in the last lifetime. Now we have to endure through this one. I would call it more of a rebuke. I mean, he did it wisely. He did it, as a son talking to his dad. So it wasn't just a sharp rebuke like, but he did it with questions instead of statements. And so I would look at that as open rebuke is better than secret love. And then, of course, he did it in front of everyone so that Saul wouldn't just be like, hey, boy, And like I said, he used that wisdom. So he probably was showing great sorrow to make Saul be like, what? Because you got to understand, all Saul was hearing was how great David was. David's this, David's that. And he's like, man, I raised this little dude. Now all of a sudden, now he think he big and bad. He didn't kill the little giant. Now he think he big and bad. And remember, David had all his dudes with him. When you go read Kings, David, he was the baddest of them all, but they all used to spar together. He had Joab, he had Benaiah, he had Abishai. You know what I'm saying? So imagine, and then obviously we know he did his little thing too. He sent Yahree off to war so he could be with Bathsheba. Well, he was with Bathsheba, then, got her pregnant, then didn't want that to come out. So tried to get Yahree to go sleep with her. So instead he just sent him off to be killed, meaning he was doing a lot of things, meaning to show or to see that, to make it be as if he was puffed up. Now, granted, a lot of these things that I just mentioned was after, him and Saul, because he was still young, dealing with Saul. But the point is, in order for him to get to that, a lot of things obviously transpired, or meaning he was puffed up a lot, obviously, because he became king after this, right? Which we're going to read. But so if you're looking at it from a standpoint of you put him under your wing and you raised him up and now he's getting the glory and he's feeling himself, you're looking at him like, boy, be quiet. You ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? So you can see where that bad spirit from Saul came from, So David had to be, real wise, and when he tried to come back at him, like, man, how you gonna do this to me? Hey, shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Next week or Friday, whoever be on Friday. Again, always humbling to teach the greatest nation on the earth. As always, may the Lord make the time short, death to our enemies. And oh yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. Remember, we're always need help pushing this truth forward. So remember to send alms. If you're in a camp, give it to your camp lead. They'll send it in. You can go right there to israelunite.org/donations. Also have equal trade. If, let's say, you're brand new, you don't trust us yet, you want to make sure we are who we say we are, we do what we say we do, you get equal trade, get your notes, or get your study tools, okay, at originalroyalty.com. It's right there. So all praises to the Most High. Till next time, Israel, Lord's will. Shalom, Most High, Christ bless.